Hello there. I'm Scotty, and you're not. Zack Snyder. Oh boy. So I said this, and I don't remember if it was actually a video that I put out or not, because I recorded an episode of Sky TV, and I think I mentioned it in there. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I mentioned in that video, maybe other ones, that the upcoming Edgar Wright review series was the first one based on a director that I've done. That's not exactly true. Zack Snyder. I forgot that back in 2020, in preparing, for the Snyder Cut be released, I reviewed all of his movies. And looking back, more often than not, I'm a fan of the movies. Dawn of the Dead, 300, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Extended Cut, and the Snyder Cut of Justice League, I think are all good. The only ones that aren't really, in there, Watchmen is kind of a 50-50 movie for me. There's some things I like, sometimes I don't, and it hits and it misses at the same time, so it's kind of in the middle. Legends of the Guardians and Sucker Punch, I don't really care for either of them. Sucker Punch isn't terrible, but it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't work. And Legends of the Guardians, I was bored out of my mind watching that. And I didn't count 300 Rise of an Empire because he didn't direct it, but I did count that in my ranking. And just to touch, when I redo the ranking, I'm also going to count that because he wrote it. It's like when you do a ranking of Tarantino and you count True Romance, From Dusk Till Dawn, and Natural Born Killers. You wrote it, put it in there. You could do that with some of those. Those like Ivan Reitman and John Hughes, however, they did a lot of writing, so I won't do that. I don't know what John Hughes. I do want to eventually do John Hughes because I like his movies, but I already reviewed some of his. But Ivan Reitman is on the horizon somewhere. So, which column does Army of the Dead fit in, which I just watched? Is it in the yes column or the no column? I'm going to tell you right now, it's in the yes column. I enjoyed this movie. And the movie itself is about a group of mercenaries who are tasked with going into a zombie-riddled Las Vegas to get some money for this rich Japanese man, played by Hiroyuki Sanada. So yeah, and yeah, there was a question when this was coming out if this was going to be a direct sequel to Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, and I guess you could say no, it's not a direct sequel. However, they say it's a spiritual sequel. However, I have my theories that perhaps this could be set in the same world as Dawn of the Dead. Because the film opens up with these two guys. They're carrying, they're in this cargo, van or whatever it is. And they're carrying something somewhere. And this guy is driving along with his girlfriend, giving him a blowjob. He's not paying attention. Crashes into it, and there's an explosion, and it's revealed that the thing that's inside that they were carrying is a zombie. And this zombie gets to Vegas, bites a bunch of people, spreads the zombie virus. Yeah, new outbreak. At least in Vegas. I think it's just limited to Vegas, I guess. But yeah, and the big question that they don't answer is, where does this zombie come from? And my theory is, in the events of 2004's Dawn of the Dead happened, they found a way to contain it and either cured or killed everyone except for one zombie. This zombie. And it was held in like Area 51, I think they said, is where it was coming from. My theory is that this zombie was the only zombie survivor of that, and now it's escaped and created a new outbreak. That's just my thing. It's my own little headcanon I choose to believe, but it's food for thought, right? But anyway, getting into this. During this, our main character, Scott Ward, played by Bautista, and has had a falling out with his daughter after he was forced to kill his wife because she was infected. And I find out later there's a different reason why she took off, but this guy named Bly, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, comes to Ward and asks him to put a team together to enter Vegas to a vault that he has. This is 6 years after the incident. Break in, take the money, they each get a share of it, and they get to give the rest to him, I guess. So he puts together a team. I don't remember any of the names really, but there's Vananos. He's an important character. There is Dieter. He's an important character. There's a couple of females. One of them is like a love interest for him. He goes in there. His daughter decides to join a couple other women. There's this dick that they show at the beginning who's... Okay, so the one thing I want to comment is I've noticed a pattern with these Netflix movies. They have messages in them. Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had the message about the influencers and changing things. Blood Red Sky had the message about racism and terrorists and stuff like that. This one is commenting on the pandemic because they make comments about how people going around with temperature guns and checking temperatures, and there's this dick at the beginning who, just because she's acting angry, when they're infected they act out and they lash out, and he's like, oh, you're a little bit cold, are you sure you don't need to be checked? And I'm like, okay, so it's the opposite. They're checking because if you're a zombie, I guess you go cold. I guess, and it's like, okay, I get it. It's very subtle, and it's only at the it's not subtle, but it's only at the beginning of this, so it's not. It's very quick, I mean to say, and it's at the beginning of this, but I just don't see. I hear people comment all the time when they're watching movies that take place in 2021 or something. Oh, it must be an alternate version of 2021 because there's no COVID. Good. My opinion is that you should make a movie as if there was no COVID. Like I hear that Halloween Ends is going to work in some kind of commentary about the pandemic. No, movies are supposed to be our escape from reality, right? Don't force the modern political scene or the pandemic or anything into the movies to get a message out. Movies are supposed to help us escape from our reality and what's going on in the world. I don't want a movie that comments on the current pandemic. I don't want that. I want to see people fighting zombies. I want to see Michael Myers killing people. I don't want any of that 6 feet apart bullshit in the movies. Okay? Just keep it out of there. It's just an opinion, but it's a good opinion, and I think, there's too much forcing agendas in movies nowadays. Just make a movie to entertain people and not try to put your fucking message out there. Not that that's what Zack Snyder did here, Because I think this is the only instance where he mentions that when they temperature thing. So I'm just saying, but I don't know. Yeah, so he puts his team together, and Bly's assistant Martin, played by Garrett Dillahunt, of Last House on the Left and Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles fame, so like Raising Hope, I think it was in that too, comes in, and he says, I'm going with you too. He's going to make sure everything goes off without a hitch. Soon as they decided he was going, I'm like, something's going to happen with this dude. Sure enough. And that's always my big complaint about zombie films, is they always force in, and it's forced, they always force in a human antagonist. People, if you are in, I get it, zombie apocalypse, people are going to turn on each other. Sure. But if you have a movie about zombies killing people, you don't need a human antagonist. And they turned Bly and Dillahunt's character here, Martin, into villains because they were only out there to get the head of the queen zombie. That's it. And it's just, they don't care about the money, I guess. I guess the zombie head is worth more. They can make their own zombie army. That is fucking stupid. Okay? You can make a zombie army all you want, but it's going to turn on you. You can't control it. And they never explain how he planned to control it. There's no way to control zombies, man. You can make an army, they're just going to turn on you and you'll have a bigger apocalypse. I don't understand that. But there is some good action in here. That I love the music in this. There's some good zombie fights, some good gore in this. I thought that the actors, for the most part, did a good job. Actually, most of the actors did a good job. Even Garrett Dillahunt is the villain. Good. Batista, for those who say wrestlers can't act, The Rock is a good actor. Batista's a good actor. For every Batista and The Rock that can act, you have a Hulk Hogan or a John Cena that can't. I'm sorry, but I never liked John Cena's acting. I don't know. He just comes off wooden to me. And Hulk Hogan, I don't know. Most of his movies were very cheesy, so I don't know if we're supposed to take him serious to begin with. I mean, when you're in a movie and you have to say the line, Dookie, or you have to wear a tutu, or you have to yell fire at the aliens to Afterburner, which is not an alien video game. I don't know. It's very... wear a toupee and fight the three ninjas. I don't know. It just doesn't work. It was a product of its time with Hulk Hogan in some of the cheesiest movies you could imagine before they took wrestlers turned actors seriously. There are some good, actors out there. Wrestlers turn actors. Roddy Piper was good. But anyway, Batista is really good in this. And, he and his daughter reconnect. And you find out that it's because she sort of left her after what happened. So maybe he just assumed that she was mad at him for what happened and walked away. I don't know. That she wants to go in there. He says no, but then he lets her go in there. There's also I sensed it early on, but there's this love interest thing between him and the Hispanic woman. I don't remember her name. And I'm like, is there something with them? And then towards the end, they talk about it. But then right afterwards, some zombies show up and then twist her head around and she dies. And it's like, okay, so what was the point of that side plot? Okay. I know that Zack Snyder is very famous for introducing subplots and then quickly, or putting in a character moment and then turning it 360 on its, turning it 180 on its head. So maybe that was one of those moments. Like, for instance, Dawn of the Dead, where, they escaped and they're going to be safe, to only find out the island is covered with zombies and they're screwed. So yeah, it was that kind of thing, you know. And he does it twice in this, at least. So eventually, they get down there. Dieter opens up the safe, and then Martin screws them over and takes off what he thinks is the head, but it's not in there. We have these two zombies, the king and the queen, as mentioned, or after the queen's head. They get it. They think the head is in this thing, but Martin is mauled by this zombie tiger. And while it is CG, I love the look of the zombie tiger. Apparently it's Siegfried and Roy's zombie tiger. May they both rest in peace. Yeah. And so then let's talk about Tig Nicotero's character, Peter. Originally, this character was supposed to be played by Chris D'Elia, but some allegations come out. I'm not going to comment on whether I believe them or not. Doesn't matter what I believe. It happened. But some allegations came out, and so he was removed and replaced with Tig Nicotero. I think it was after the film was done, and they used CGI to put her in here. There are some instances where it is apparent. I think some dialogue had to be changed too, because Martin says, "I'm gonna kill the," or maybe he says, "Kill the pilot." Who knows? But she's one of the highlights of this movie. I loved her in this. She's fantastic. Eventually, he and this other chick get up there. Batista and this other chick get up there, and she hasn't gotten it going yet, but she does get it going. But the other chick is taken out, and she's taken out thanks to a spear thrown by the king. Zeus, I think his name is. And she drops the head, and it goes pfft. And so Zeus comes after Batista. Batista gets bit. I think. Maybe he gets bit here, I think, because he goes to the hotel and he rescues his daughter and who went there to rescue her friends, and they both end up dead anyway, so I don't know what the point of her going there was. And then the thing crashes, and Peters dies, and then Batista has been bit, so he starts to change. There's this touching moment, which honestly is more touching than the one in Blood Red Sky, where she's forced to kill her own father because he's turning into a zombie, and then she gets taken to safety. Here's the thing. So the nuke goes off, blows up Vegas, right? And before this, Dieter sacrificed himself to save Vanahos, who is inside of the vault, so it protects him, right? So, daughter is saved, and then we cut back to where the exploded Vegas is, and Vanahos is climbing out of a hole that used to be that way to the vault, and he just walks out and finds a car, goes to Utah. Here's the problem. Nuclear fallout. It's a thing. So even if he survived that, as soon as he crawled out of that hole, as soon as he got out of that freaking vault and climbed up the hole, he would be infected with radiation. So he would be dead anyway. But no, he survives because this is a movie and we have no common sense in movies, right? So he crawls out, he finds a car, steals the car, drives to Utah, uses the money that he got to buy off this lady at the airport for this private jet, and starts to talk to these two, flight attendants and everything. Then he starts to feel a little woozy here. He gets a little, goes into the bathroom and finds out he was bit. When the hell that happened, I don't know, because I don't remember seeing him get bit. I remember he was pushing him back. Maybe it was supposed to be then and it's supposed to be a shock, but he's involved. He's infected, We find out that the plane is going to Mexico. Apparently, there's a sequel in the works called Planet of the Dead, and it's supposed to take place in Mexico and might see the return of Dieter, so he survived. Is he a zombie? If he survived, where was he when the explosion happened? Did he get out of Vegas? Who knows? But yeah, this was I enjoyed this. If I had to complain, which I do, it's a little long. It's 2.5 hours long. Uh, I know Zack Snyder likes long movies. The extended cut, which should be the official cut of Batman v Superman, is 3 hours long. His cut of Justice League is 4 hours long, although if it was to go in theaters, it would be shorter. Sure. But and there's a lot you could have cut out of that. But this was good. It is long, but if you can, sit through a 2.5 hour movie, I'd recommend it. That was great. Like I said, the music was good. The zombie fighting action was good. There's a lot of CG in there, and it is noticeable, but it's not bad CGI by any means. The tiger is probably the worst, but it's not bad. It's cool to see a zombie tiger. You never see like zombie animals in these kind of movies, and that's kind of cool. And it's nice to have like a different take on it. It's a heist movie in a zombie apocalypse type thing, which is cool. And it's in Vegas. I don't think we've ever seen something in Vegas. You can compare it to something like The Walking Dead or even Resident Evil. I think it would work. I think Zack Snyder did a good job here. And like I said, it's in the yes column of movies I liked. So when it comes to Army of the Dead, I have to say that it's pretty good. So what are your thoughts on Army of the Dead? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.